Your husband dies suddenly, leaving you and your 8-year-old daughter devastated. You call your parents, sobbing, desperate for comfort. Their response: "We're at a birthday party right now. Can this wait until tomorrow?" That's exactly what happened to me. And trust me, it gets so much worse. My name is Sarah, I'm 32, and 3 months ago, my world completely shattered when my husband David died of a massive heart attack at work. But the real nightmare? It wasn't just losing the love of my life. It was discovering who my family really was when I needed them most. David and I had that fairy tale love story everyone dreams about. We met in college when I was struggling with economics, and he was the patient teaching assistant who stayed after class to help me understand complex theories. His kindness drew me in first, then his infectious laugh that could light up any room. We dated through university, got engaged on graduation day, and married young despite everyone telling us to live a little first. But David was my life. He was everything I wanted to experience the world with. After finishing his MBA, David landed a position at a top financial firm in the city. He wasn't just brilliant with numbers, he genuinely cared about people. That combination made him exceptional at his job and beloved by his clients. We spent 5 amazing years as a couple before deciding to start a family. What we thought would be easy turned into our greatest challenge. 3 years of heartbreak followed, 2 miscarriages, endless doctor visits, and 1 failed IVF attempt that left us emotionally and financially drained. We were actually discussing adoption when I unexpectedly became pregnant with Emma. The pregnancy was rough. I was on bed rest for 2 months, and David worked from home to care for me. He'd bring me breakfast in bed, massage my swollen feet, and read parenting books out loud to both me and our unborn daughter. When Emma finally arrived, David cried harder than I did, holding her like she was made of precious glass. For 8 beautiful years, we were the perfect little family. David coached Emma's soccer team despite knowing absolutely nothing about soccer. He learned right alongside her, watching YouTube tutorials after she went to bed. His calendar was color-coded with Emma's activities, and he never missed a single school event or doctor's appointment. But there were warning signs we ignored. Occasional chest pains he blamed on work stress. Shortness of breath he attributed to being out of shape. The doctor said his slightly high blood pressure was normal for a man approaching 40 with a demanding job. Standard advice we took too lightly. That Tuesday morning started like any other. David made pancakes shaped like dinosaurs while I packed Emma's lunch. He kissed us both goodbye, promised to be home early for Emma's art show, and his last words to me were about picking up real maple syrup, not the fake stuff. Such an ordinary final conversation. At 10:47 a.m., my phone rang. David's assistant, her voice shaking so badly I could barely understand her. David had collapsed during a client meeting. The ambulance was rushing him to the hospital. I remember dropping my coffee mug, the sound of it shattering on the kitchen floor still echoes in my memory. I called our neighbor to pick up Emma from school, then drove to the hospital like a woman possessed, praying the entire way. But I was too late. David was pronounced dead at 11:23 a.m., just minutes before I arrived. Massive heart attack. Nothing could have been done, they assured me, as if that somehow made it better. Seeing David's body was surreal. He looked like he was sleeping, except for the terrible stillness of his chest. His skin was still warm when I touched his face. I kept expecting him to open his eyes, to smile and tell me this was all some horrible mistake. The next few hours were a blur of paperwork and impossible decisions. Cremation or burial? What kind of service? Did he have a favorite suit? Questions I wasn't prepared to answer when all I wanted was to crawl into bed with my husband one last time. The hardest part was telling Emma. When she got into my car after school, she immediately sensed something was wrong. I pulled over because I couldn't drive and deliver this news simultaneously. "Where's Daddy?" "He promised to come to my art show tonight," she said, clutching her backpack. Taking her small hands in mine, I somehow found the words. "Sweetie, something very sad happened today. Daddy got very sick at work and his heart stopped working. The doctors couldn't fix it. Daddy died today." Her face crumpled in confusion. "Can't the doctors make him better?" "No, baby. When someone's heart stops working completely, the doctors can't fix it." "Does that mean Daddy isn't coming home ever?" When I nodded, unable to speak through my tears, she let out a sound I'll never forget, a primal wail of pure heartbreak. She threw herself into my arms, her small body shaking with sobs. "I want Daddy. Please, I want my Daddy." There was nothing I could do but hold her and cry with her, parked on the side of the road as the world continued around us, oblivious to our shattered hearts. That evening, after finally getting Emma to sleep in my bed clutching David's unwashed shirt, the full weight of my loss hit me. I sat on the bathroom floor and broke down completely. The physical pain of grief was overwhelming, like being repeatedly punched in the chest. I needed my parents. With shaking hands, I called them. They'd been married 40 years, had weathered losses together. Surely they would know what to say, how to help me through this impossible time. My mother answered on the fifth ring. Laughter and music filled the background. "Mom," I choked out, "David died this morning. He had a heart attack at work. He's gone." There was a pause. I heard her cover the phone, say something to someone else. When she returned, her voice was slightly more serious but still distracted. "Oh my goodness, that's terrible. Are you sure? Maybe there's been a mistake." The fact that I had to convince my own mother that my husband was actually dead felt like another trauma on top of everything else. "I saw his body, Mom. There's no mistake." "Well, this is quite a shock, but sweetie, we're in the middle of your sister's 40th birthday celebration. Everyone's here, we have caterers. Can you manage tonight and we'll come by tomorrow when things settle down?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My sister's birthday party took precedence over her son-in-law's death, over her daughter and granddaughter's devastating grief. My father got on the phone then. "This is awful news. Was David's life insurance policy up to date? You should call the company first thing tomorrow." Not, "I'm coming right over." Not, "What can we do to help?" But a question about life insurance while my husband's body was barely cold. "I can't believe this is your response," I said, my voice hollow. "My husband just died, Emma lost her father, and you're at a party." "Now, Sarah," my father said in that condescending tone he'd used throughout my childhood, "Lisa has been planning this milestone birthday for months. Everyone took time off work to be here. We can't just walk out. Be reasonable." Reasonable. As if grief followed any rules of reason. "Forget I called," I said and hung up. Within minutes, my phone was flooded with messages from friends who had somehow heard the news. David's college roommate, my colleague, even my old high school friend I hadn't spoken to in years, all offering condolences, asking what they could do to help. Strangers showed more compassion than my own family. The funeral was scheduled for Saturday, 4 days after David's death. Those days passed in a fog of arrangements and trying to comfort Emma while barely holding myself together. My parents called once, briefly, to ask what time the service started and whether they should wear black. They didn't offer to help with arrangements. They didn't ask how Emma was coping. The day of the funeral dawned cruelly beautiful. Emma insisted on wearing a blue dress because Daddy always said I looked like a princess in blue. I helped her with her hair, weaving a small braid the way David used to do for special occasions. My parents were supposed to arrive early but texted 20 minutes before the service, saying they were running late due to traffic. They finally walked in as people were being seated, making a small commotion as they found their reserved front row seats. Throughout the service, I was painfully aware of Lisa checking her phone, my father glancing at his watch, my mother dabbing at dry eyes for show. Meanwhile, David's colleagues were genuinely distraught, their grief real and palpable. During the reception at our house afterward, I overheard my father talking to my uncle near the drinks table. David was doing very well at that firm. The life insurance alone must be substantial. Sarah will be set for life. 2 weeks after the funeral, my parents showed up unannounced at my door. They settled themselves in the living room while I automatically made coffee, falling into the hostess role even though they should have been taking care of me. After awkward small talk, my father cleared his throat in that way he always did before serious discussions. "We wanted to talk to you about your situation," he began. "Your financial situation," my mother clarified. "Now that you're adjusting to life without David." I stared at them, not comprehending at first. "We thought, given David's position and his life insurance policy, that you might be in a position to help family," my father continued. "We are your parents, after all." The audacity left me speechless. My husband wasn't even cold in his grave, and they were here with their hands out. "How much are you thinking?" I asked, my voice flat. My father, apparently missing my tone, brightened. "Well, we were thinking 50% of the life insurance payout would secure our retirement and leave plenty for you and Emma. 50% of my widowed daughter's security to fund their retirement. The daughter they couldn't be bothered to comfort when her husband died because they were at a birthday party. You want half of the money that's meant to secure my daughter's future after losing her father." I repeated slowly. "There's no need to be emotional about this," my father said dismissively. "It's just practical financial planning." "Practical would be asking how your granddaughter is coping with losing her father," I shot back. "Practical would be offering to help with meals or housework. Not this vulture behavior." "We raised you," my mother interjected weakly. "We paid for your college, helped with your first house down payment. We deserve consideration." "Deserve?" I was shouting now. "You haven't shown me or Emma an ounce of genuine concern since David died. All you care about is what you can get from us." In that moment, something snapped inside me. All the grief that had left me passive suddenly crystallized into razor-sharp clarity. "Get out," I said quietly. "Be reasonable," my mother began. "Get out of my house." I screamed. "How dare you come here asking for David's money while blaming him for dying? He was worth 100 of you, and you couldn't even comfort your own daughter when she was breaking apart." They left in a huff, muttering about ingratitude and reconsidering our relationship. I closed the door behind them and sank to the floor, trembling with rage and hurt. When I picked Emma up from school that afternoon, she seemed more withdrawn than usual. In the car, she finally spoke. "Mommy, why were Grandma and Grandpa at our house today?" My heart sank. "Did you see them?" She nodded. "I saw their car from the classroom window." "Did they ask about Daddy's money?" The fact that my 8-year-old had overheard such conversations at the funeral made me physically ill. That night, Emma and I had a long talk. I explained that sometimes adults make poor choices when they're scared about money, but that didn't make it right. I assured her that David had made sure we'd be taken care of, but that money could never replace having him with us. "I would give all the money in the world to have Daddy back," she said. "Me too, baby. Me too." A week later, I met with David's lawyer friend who had handled our estate planning. He assured me that everything was legally protected. My parents had absolutely no claim to any of David's assets. But the emotional damage was done. The people who should have been my support system had proven themselves unworthy of that role. When my parents demanded a family meeting the following Sunday, I decided it was time to make a final stand. Emma asked if she could bring something special. She'd been working on a project all week. At my parents' house, surrounded by extended family they'd invited as an audience, they presented their formal proposal: 50% of the life insurance to them, 15% to Lisa. They wanted 65% of the money meant to secure Emma's future after losing her father. "Family takes care of family," my mother said primly. "Like how you couldn't leave Lisa's birthday party when my husband died," I replied. "That kind of family care." The room fell silent. At least someone had the decency to look embarrassed. Then Emma stepped forward, still clutching her envelope. "I have something to say," she announced in a clear, strong voice that startled everyone. "Daddy taught me that when people show you who they really are, you should believe them," Emma said, her voice only slightly trembling. "And when people only come around when they want something, they're not really family." She walked over and handed my father a piece of paper. It was designed to look like an invoice. At the top, in Emma's careful handwriting, it read, "Bill for real love and support." Listed below were items like, being there when Daddy died, $0, not provided, helping Mom when she was sad, $0, not provided, hugging me when I cried for Daddy, $0, not provided. At the bottom was a total of $0. "That's why you came, right? For money. This is what you earned." The silence was absolute. My father's hands trembled as he held the paper. "I think we're done here," I said quietly, taking Emma's hand. "Don't contact us again unless it's to apologize and show genuine change." As we walked out, I felt a strange mixture of sorrow and liberation. We had lost more than David, we had lost the illusion of a supportive extended family. But in that loss, there was also clarity and the freedom to rebuild our lives without toxic obligations. In the car, I hugged Emma tightly. "That was incredibly brave. I'm so proud of you. Daddy always said we have to stand up for what's right, even when it's hard," she replied. Looking back now, several months later, I realized that losing David revealed exactly who in our lives was truly family and who was not. Some relationships were irreparably damaged, while others deepened in ways I never expected. The inheritance my parents coveted sits mostly untouched, securing Emma's future just as David intended. But his true legacy isn't in the money, it's in the values he instilled in us, the courage he inspired, and the love that continues to guide our choices. If you've ever experienced family betrayal during grief, or had to stand up for yourself against those who should have supported you, I hope our story reminds you that you're not alone. Sometimes the most difficult boundaries to establish are with people we've been taught to accommodate our whole lives. But protecting yourself and those who depend on you isn't selfish, it's necessary. Family is defined by love and respect, not just blood. And sometimes, the family you choose is stronger than the one you're born into. If this story resonated with you, please share your own experiences in the comments below. Hit that like button if you believe in standing up for what's right, and subscribe for more real stories about life's most challenging moments. Remember, you're worth more than how others treat you, especially when you're at your most vulnerable.